Who doesn't love pesto? Come on. I mean, it's one of the most beloved spreads or sauces out there. And I did the carrot top pesto last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, and I got a lot of questions about it because there's so many different people today that are looking for ways to make dishes that don't involve fractionated oils. And then sometimes people have nut allergies, and most commonly they'll see walnuts, almonds, cashews, pine nuts, but those are actually a seed, but many different kinds of nuts being used to make a pesto. Well, I want to make one today where I'm going to not use any fractionated oil and not use any nuts. And I'm going to think outside the box because I'm going to use a microgreen to make it. I harvested some beautiful pea tendrils last week, and after I'd cut them off, I set this over in the sunlight, gave it some water, and this is the second round. Look at that. This hydroponic is out of control, but I've got all these pea tendrils just screaming to be used up for something, and I thought, I've never tried a pea tendril pesto, but all microgreens are in the game for me, as are other dark leafy greens in making pestos. So a few of the classic things that it's going to have, of course, is garlic, and I'm actually going to use some spring garlic that I have that you can get this time of year. This is the early weeding out they do of the garlic, and this would eventually mature into the cured garlic that we end up buying at the end of the season, but why not use this? And you can actually add the greens in for flavor into the pesto as well. I'm going to be, because I'm using pea tendrils, I thought that I would up the flavor even a little bit because I got some beautiful sugar snap peas from the farmer's market. The pesto is going to have a sweetness to it because of the peas, and so why not counter that with something spicy or bitter? Because that's what you want to be thinking about when you're putting together a spread or a paste this way, is to have it not all be just one level. See if you can create layers of flavor within it. What I want to do is put in some spicy young baby arugula, yum, that I got from Nye Ranch. And I'm actually going to put in some baby kale that I got from Fortunate Farm right down the street here. So just in my adventures on Wednesday when I went to the farmer's market, and actually on Monday I stopped and got this baby kale from Fortunate Farm. So we're going to have our bitter and spicy greens to counterbalance actually, the sweetness of the peas. I want to change it up. So I thought seeds. Well, one of my favorites to use is pepitas, and those are pumpkin seeds the shell has been taken off the outside. These are one of the most incredible foods for men for their prostates. So if you didn't know that, all men should be finding ways to put pepitas into their diet. These are super, super healthy. I have soaked these overnight and sprouted them. They have the little tails starting to come out into them because if I'm going to use a seed or a nut and it can be sprouted, I'm taking it down that path. And these, for sure, because I know they were raw and organic, are sprouting for me. So I'm using sprouted pumpkin seeds in here. I am going to be using some pine nuts, and the pine nuts bring a sweet creaminess into the background. So I'll put those in earlier, as you'll see, because I don't mind if they get broken down into a creamy background. Then to make it a little cheesier, you could add some nutritional yeast. Instead of taking the miso route to replace the cheese, some pine nuts with some nutritional yeast in there will give you that same kind of cheesy essence in the pesto that you would get from Parmesan, which is what would be the more classic things that people would put into it. We'll round it out with some lime juice, which is pretty classic. Lime or lemon is usually in there, and actually helps to preserve it longer in the fridge until you're going to use it, unless you're going to just use it that night on a pasta or whatever. But it also adds brightness in there. An acid coming into a recipe is just a beautiful thing. Whether it is a living vinegar or citrus, it's just one of those things that brightens up the flavors. So I'm going to be using some lime juice. Let's start with the avocado. Now, I just took the belly button off this a second ago. When you go to buy your avocados, make sure that they have the little belly button on them. The ones that have it off, It's not that you shouldn't buy those if you didn't find any with belly buttons on them, but many times when you open it up, you'll see these black lines moving through it because there's oxidation going on because the stem had been taken off. So if the stem's on there, great, buy that one. I just like to spin my knife around them, twist them open, place it down on the board safely, and tap and twist with your knife. And I don't take it off this way. I think that that is unsafe. This is a very sharp chef knife here. So what I do is go from the top with my fingers and just pinch and release. Instead of taking my fingertips towards the sharp end of the knife, it's just safer to pinch from the top and release that pit. So there's your tip about opening an avocado and safely getting that pit off your knife. So I don't need to do anything special other than to take the skins off of this avocado, and it's going to be going right into my food processor. That's what my choice is for making almost all the pestos. Food processors have a slower blade, of course, than a blender, and a blender is going to make a much more mushy, blended up version of a pesto, which is not really what I'm shooting for. I like chunkiness in my pestos, and so I'm always thinking of the order that I'm going to put things in. Now, since I know I want to get this avocado to really break down and be that whole fat background, I don't mind putting it in early. I've already peeled the outer skin that was on here off and rinsed them off, so they're just ready to chop up and throw into my pesto. These ends and these roots, incredible for my soup stock. So of course I'm going to save them. Wow, you should smell what is coming off the board. If you haven't ever bought these spring garlic early in the season from the farmer's market, they're incredible. They have this just subtle, soft flavor that really excites me. I love using them. You saw I just ran all the way up there. The very tops I put in the soup stock, but a lot of the green I did put in here. It has incredible flavor. So that's going in there. Yum. But these will add color and flavor. You know, they're peas. They're these wonderful, sweet spring snap peas from a local farm here on the coast. And we're dancing with pea tendrils, so why not? I've got my garden and the local farm coming together here. I'm just taking the little ends off these pea pods here. And you can just rough chop them. You don't need to get carried away with it, but just do a quick little chop through them just to break them down a little bit. In they go. As I said, I can put these pine nuts in earlier because I don't mind if they get kind of broken down and become part of that creamy background. So go ahead and put some of those in there. I'm not going to put them all in yet. May not need all of those. Avocado is also very creamy. So, and then I am going to put in some nutritional yeast. This is going to give that cheesy flavor. If you've ever smelled nutritional yeast, and it's pretty common anymore. It used to be people didn't really know about this, but if you're into vegan cheese making and really like emulating the flavor of cheese in conversion dishes, this is a great thing. But it doesn't take too much because it can be overpowering, and I really want to let the flavors shine that I'm using here. But I want that little layer, that cheesy layer, as you're working through and taking a bite and thinking about all the different flavors you get in this beautiful pesto. We will have some cheesiness in there. So I'm going to probably put in about 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Then I've got my arugula. This is going to create drama in there. So I'll chop that up and have that ready to go in. Just rough chop it. I'm going to put a little bit of kale in there. And I'm not going to put all of this yet, but I will put some of that also. So we're representing both of my favorite local farms here. We've got the baby kale from Fortunate Farm and the baby arugula from Nye Ranch, both right down the street. Sprouted pepitas. Love that. You know, this is just such an awesome way to make a pesto without having to have nuts in it, like I said. So not only are we eliminating those processed oils in here, this is going to be a seed pesto. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. And by the way, I've never made this recipe. It's just when I get a question from somebody online, I'm like, okay, and I just ponder it in my mind. And I've done enough alchemy for 10 years in the studio creating living food versions of classic dishes that I just know the layers I can pull together in my own mind to make it work. And that's what I'm doing here, okay? So I don't know if I'm gonna need all of these in here because I also do have the pine nuts in there. So, but I did put most of them in there. I'll kind of figure this out and give you a general idea on my recipe that I post with this. By the way, my recipes are always a template. A recipe is never finished, okay? A recipe is never solid. The minute you look at anyone's recipe, you should cater it to what you have in your house and your own intuition of what you like in different flavors and layers. And the more you work with someone like me, you'll see that there's many different substitutes for anything, which can make a dish fit any diet. If there's certain allergies involved, or if people don't want to have oil in there, in this case, or they have nut allergies, then putting seeds in, just play around. Just remember the sweet, the bitter, the umami, the acid, some saltiness, you know, and bring them all together into a wonderful flavor. Okay, so now I've got pea tendrils also. So just get out your kitchen shears, and these are clean. I grow them hydroponically. Unlike sunflower sprouts or microgreens that you grow, pea tendrils are a gift that just keeps giving. Now the first round was darker green and the sweetest. So on the second and third round, they are not quite as sweet. They're still sweet. They're pea tendrils. And they are really delicate and really fine, and I love them. I do want more of those because I want them to shine in this dish. It just amazes me how these just keep going. It's just like you get a good tray of them going and you're going to be eating pea tendrils for 3 weeks. I just leave them here in the kitchen. They're on the here's some cilantro as well. And cilantro takes a really long time to grow. I love cilantro microgreens, but they can take a month to get fully up to where I like them. But these I walk by and I just pick them off and eat them every day as I'm walking by. They're so sweet and yummy, and microgreens are such a power nutrient for our body. I'm going to get this going and break it down and get it creamy, and then we'll put our greens in. I want to put those in too early because I don't like to over-process things. It's got texture in there, and I do love the texture, so I am allowing that to be prevalent in the pesto. You can see it's creamy, but also I haven't gone too far and have not broken down the pepitas too far. Okay, because now we're going to put in our greens and then pulse those down in. Baby kale, that spicy arugula, yum. Okay. And I'm going to put a little bit more of the lime juice on the greens. Actually helps them to not oxidize as they're breaking down. And you put that acid on them. When they oxidize, they turn dark. Nice. Oh yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. Look at that texture. This is going to be delicious, I can tell already. So I'm going to get a tasting spoon and do my flavor adjustments. I always like to try it out before you're finished, of course. You want to see if you've got that wonderful layer you're looking for of all the different flavors. That is really good. Really good. And this works. I can taste that cheesiness in the background. The avocado, by the way, is gone. It's there. And here's the deal. There's some people that say, well, just make a pesto without oil. No, that's not going to work. If you know how it works on your palate, you want to have a fat to deliver that flavor and leave it lingering on your tongue. That's what fat does in food. That's why a great chef is always going to have some element of fat if they can, and in this case a whole fat in a dish, which will deliver so much more powerful flavor, and it will leave a lingering flavor in your palate after you take a bite. So this is wonderful. It actually could use a little bit more garlic flavor. Everything in it is wonderful, but I like garlic a lot. And you know, those spring garlic are there, definitely. They have more of a scallion garlic flavor to them, which I do really love. But I'm actually going to put another clove, or 2 cloves probably, of garlic in here. Like I said, I've never made this one before, so I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. I will open up those garlic. We will get the paper off those and pop those in there and blend it down. Now, I did run the chef knife through these just because I'm already far enough along in the process. If I was putting these in at the beginning, I could have just put them in whole. But of course, at this point, when I'm flavor balancing, I need to chop it down a little bit more. If you don't want to have salt, you don't have to. But I am going to put a little bit of Redmond real salt in there, just because I want to waken up the flavors a little bit. I don't put a ton of salt in something from the beginning, but in this one I don't have miso, which I often do use in my vegan pestos, and so bringing in a good healthy salt like Redmond real salt would be my choice. Okay, to flavor balance it. And let's just pulse all that in. So good. Wow. So, see how easy it is to come up with a new recipe? When you just have the basic flavor balancing and texture kind of techniques together, this is so delicious. I'm telling you, on some fresh pasta, if you had some gluten-free penne or some spiralized zucchini or kohlrabi or celeriac, the kohlrabi and celeriac, I do steam. And what I would tell you is going to be delicious with this, with the lemon flavor and the pea tendrils and the nice bitter greens, that little spicy arugula in the background, is some sun-dried tomatoes. Put those in the pasta with it. You have a delicious meal, but of course it's just a spread that's great to have in your fridge to put in wraps, to just have with crudité as a snack anytime. I'm a huge fan of all kinds of pastes and pâtés and spreads that I usually make at least once a week to keep my fridge stocked for the Plant Food Kitchen. So there you have the on-the-fly pesto to use up my pea tendrils and have some fun, but oil-free and nut-free.